Hello, this is me beginning a review of all of my Broken Arrow multiplayer matches I played in the recent press access build that Broken Arrow just did, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, they did a closed multiplayer demo, what have you, where they invited a whole lot of game journalists, content creators, of which, you can call me one of those. And we came and played with the internal playtesters of the game, who were very, very good, and the developers as well sometimes, which was cool. FLX in this match is actually the lead dev of Broken Arrow, which is pretty cool to play with when I got to talk to him as well. Anyway, I've been doing some, well, I should be releasing with this a shorter summary video of like kind of summing up this match in a few minutes, and I want to keep doing those for all of my matches basically. And pairing with that, I want to upload these longer versions that have me talking over them, so that people can kind of pick what they want. Do you want to watch a short summary? Do you want to... My cat wants food, sorry. Do you want to see the long version with me talking? In the description, if you check the links, there'll also be a link to not only the shorter summary, but also I should be able to link this entire video just without any commentary at all. So if you don't want to hear me talking, you don't want to hear me going on, just go click that link and just watch this whole match without me yabbing at you. But if you're here and you want to stick around, hi. I'll try to make my words insightful. That said, I am reviewing this after I've played it, a couple of weeks after now. So I'm going to be kind of remembering what I did and guessing what I was doing as I watch on the screen, just like you're watching. But, let's not waffle too much here. Let me get into what we're doing. So, this is Suwalki. It's a map I hadn't played before. I'm going to try throughout these matches to not be too unkind to myself in review, but I will just get it out of the way first and foremost. I don't think I played this match or many of the matches very well. Not as good as I'd like to have. And part of that is because I am someone who... it sounds terrible when I say it about myself like this, but I'm not good at thinking on my feet, I think. I'm better, let's say, at having a long time to prepare and plan before I get to the match. And in this case, I hadn't really done that. So here I am on the new map. You can see me looking around, kind of trying to figure out, like, where am I even going to go? What am I going to do? It's a very urban map, as you can see. And in the end, I ended up going over here to the A point. But before that, I engaged in a bit of the ace combat at the start of the matches. If you've watched or even played this game before in the November beta, that's the last time I played, was back in November, I believe it was, with the rest of yous. You'll remember the meta of this game. Let me just turn this down a little bit for myself as I rewatch it. The meta of this game was you would have like kind of an ace combat match at the start, right? Where all the jets come out and have a big fight at the start. I really like this part of the game. It was less prevalent during these matches because it feels like jets, not just feels like, but have been kind of restrained in power a little bit. You can see me here not getting any hits with my missiles and getting 2 hits. One each on both of my F-22s. Not a great showing for my first use of the Raptor, but they got away. They're not dead, so that's good at least. But yeah, there's a bit less ace coming and going on here. I think the playtesters were doing it less, and they kind of led us in doing it less as well, just by vibes. The playtesters are very good. They were much better than us. You'll see that throughout these matches. Yeah, I've got an F-15C coming in because I just want to snipe this Hind that's bringing in some troops. I'd like to think I got that before I got any troops on the point. And you can see it doesn't tick over to red control, so I did. I like having enough interceptors with sidewinders to kill helicopters, because I remembered from the November beta how insanely, like, scary helicopters could be. And by the end of that beta, I played for, like, that 2 weeks straight. My #1 way to deal with helicopters just became... Oh, there goes the Eagle. Became a pair of F-15Cs with a lot of sidewinders, like 4 sidewinders. And I would just call them in and attack helicopter blobs with them. Speaking of helicopter blobs, one of my allies here is bringing a bunch to soften up and sanitize the A point. Well, no, what I should say is they're stopping the enemy's rollout there. The enemy was also trying to drop some helicopter troops on the A point on the right there. And those helicopters stopped that, which is nice. And it's no thanks to me either. Like, I don't know if I decided where I was going yet at this point. You can see I've dropped some recon rangers on the I point. But, I'm not contributing. I won't dump on myself, because it's always annoying when you listen to someone and they're like, oh, I'm so bad, I'm so bad. And you're just like, shut up, I just want to watch the game or something. But rather than being pessimistic, I'll say definitely something I could have been doing better here is having a better rollout, having a faster rollout. Even when I'm spending a lot of my points to contribute to the early jet fight, what I should have been doing there is having at least something rolling out probably onto the J point a little bit sooner. And I do have that coming out now, but it's a little bit late. If my teammates hadn't been on the right side covering me there on the A point, you know, the enemy might have been able to roll out straight on the J, which isn't ideal. But, you know, I was still getting the hang of things. Still figuring it out. Take a breath now. I can actually stop yabbing so quickly, because coming into the start of this match, I think I had too much to talk about. But you can see now the rest of the team is sorting out all the other side of the map. I don't go over there for pretty much the entire match. I focus on the right side in A. But I did at this point bring over a flight of little birds you can see. I shouldn't say it like I remember. I should just say, like you, I'm looking on the screen. I'm like, oh, I brought little birds over. Okay. I was very excited to try these out. I'm a big fan of little birds. You know, if you've watched the typical kind of media, if you've played the typical kind of games, I grew up in the 90s. I watched Black Hawk Down, played Call of Duty. Duh, okay, little birds are cool. I really wanted to use them. I've already lost one, unfortunately, and I don't know how much effect they had giving a bit of support to our teammates there, but they pull away. I've got my own little bird transports dropping in some more light infantry over on the right as well. Dropping in some Rangers Recon. Again, this was my very first time playing of all these new SOF units from the SOF specialization. US Special Forces, or Special Operations Forces, if I want to be particular. You've got the Rangers Recon here, which are a really good unit. I didn't use them well here, but eventually, later on, I did click with SOF. It took a couple of nights. But later on in these matches, Rangers Recon ended up becoming my favorite unit. By far, they are now, speaking to you after I played all these matches, they are my favorite unit in the game. I did not know how to use them properly yet, but basically they are like, if you've played before, they're Force Recon Black Ops, really pumped up. They're just so good. They have like proper AT, they're amazing, I love them. A10 coming in here. I mean, it trades... It trades to blow up one tank and nearly destroy another T-90 there, but it does get one shot by that Russian AA system in the back. Hang on. Another of my cats wants to go out. I have a lot of cats. Oh, you want to stay in now? Okay. My chair is very squeaky, I'm sorry. The A10 is actually a lot better than I thought it would be. I've got a stealth drone in the air there. I thought the A10 would kind of be too slow to be useful in how big this game's maps are. But no, the A10 is actually really good for its price, and I ended up loving it as well. So I was happy because I was like, oh, the A10 is going to be a freaking meme. That's my own channel, I can swear, right? It's going to be a fucking meme. But it wasn't in the end. I actually got to get some really good use out of it. Maybe not in this match or even the one following as much, but soon after, I was a believer of the A10. It was great. I'm looking forward to using it more on release. So you can see that tank that was left on very little health by the A10 run. I was like, oh, I've got, you know, daggers. I've got rockets on this little bird. It's got like 1 HP. I can finish it off. So I thought I'd get real cute here. I think the front armor is facing me, and unfortunately, if I'd come around the other side, this might have worked. It did not work. So it was like, this little attempt to be cute for me that did not work out. I was still kind of figuring out, okay, maybe the little bird can't do that. I do think in hindsight, I must have hit the front armor there. I couldn't see because the tank was in the bush. But probably I could have got it if I'd come from the left instead of the right, but there you go. Bringing in more infantry here. We have a pair of tow teams from the Airborne spec. This is SOF plus Airborne as the deck I'm playing. I love Airborne, and I love Airborne's weapon teams. I love a bargain in this game. I learned during the last beta in November that cost efficiency is really important in this game, at least to me. Very, very important. Because units in this game, well, the way cost works in this game is that the more amount of points you have on the field deployed, the less income you make. And also, the more unit costs, the longer that unit takes to respawn in your deck to be used again. Unlike Wargame, if you're familiar with that game, in Broken Arrow, your units respawn. So you might only have 7 little birds total, that's a lot. You might only have 4 little birds, let's say, but unlike Wargame, they're not gone forever. Once they die, they go on a respawn timer and they come back. And the great thing about little birds in that instance is they're so cheap. So a unit that costs 400 points, that might take, you know, 5+ minutes to come back once it dies for you to call it in again. But little birds, well, they only cost like 50 points with this configuration anyway. So once they die, I mean, they're back inside of like a minute, maybe even less. And that's really powerful. So cost efficiency is really important. Being able to have these cheaper units that it's kind of okay if they die. You know, it doesn't matter too much. That's really important, at least for me. And also the game mode, which I love the game mode they've made up for Broken Arrow. This whole combined destruction and territory control point scoring mode. You can see up the top the banner that kind of is tracking it all. It's an oh, there goes a supply drop, Blackhawk. A little bit adventurous for me there. It's a really good system, and you have to keep in mind the destruction score there too. So when you're feeding very expensive units, you're helping the enemy win, because they get points for that. But when you're losing cheaper stuff, you're not throwing as much. It's like if you played a MOBA, it's like feeding in League of Legends or Dota, right? Anyway, this Barbarous is trying to push me. How the hell do I stop this thing? God, Barbarouses are scary. They always have been. You know, they're not immortal. You can kill them. But I'm looking at this, I'm like, how did I stop this? Well, probably that toe team gets messed up there, and they're quite cheap. So I wouldn't mind if I lost to either, but it gets to survive, run back to the supplies, and it'll be back in a second. Meanwhile, the Barbarous, I guess, just kind of lost its nerve. Medicus is playing that Barbarous there, I can see on the player tab, and they've got this T92, and I guess they decided to pull it back there. I don't know what their original plan was, if they have infantry in there to push me. I mean, they didn't know how much stuff I have, we assume. But that Barbarous decided, alright, I'm not dealing with that anymore. And you can see the Javelin gets a good hit on it there. Must have run out of anti-missile APS charges, protection system charges. Because we finally hit it there, and then a follow-up missile kills that Barbarous, which is nice. I do have a lot of AT here. I have the Airborne Weapons Squad in that tower, along with a tow team. I have the Rangers RRC, the Recon Rangers, which have Kalka Stev launchers, essentially. And I have... they're like bazookas, if you don't know what that is, sorry. And then I have another weapons team moving up on the left with another set of Javelin. Well, another Javelin launcher. They get a pair of them, actually. So I've got some good AT here to watch over this, like, this little field between me and the tanks. I'm going to bring in some F-35s here to do some precision bombing as well, or at least one. I was still using a lot of precision-guided munitions at this point. I was coming in playing... I want to say just like the November beta, but actually I was playing much worse because I hadn't played for ages, so I was very rusty. But that said, this was something I did a lot in the November beta. I feel like I'm saying that with awful pronunciation, sorry. I think a lot of us did, is precision-guided munitions, or PGMs for short, the smart bombs that you drop one at a time precisely, they were very, very, very powerful during that last time we played. And, like, they're still good, but they've been restrained in power a lot for this new build we played on, which I think is amazing. I think the devs have done an incredibly good job at seeing the problems and dealing with them. I'm going to fail to give you the full list of everything right now, I'm sorry. But basically, trying to remember it, it's like jets in general take longer to come back after they've gone back to base. Precision-guided munitions, also the big thing with them is specifically they have a long aim time now as well, so you can't just show up and then at the last second be like, oh, drop the bombs here. You actually have to like warm up with like a 5-second or something aim time. It's longer the bigger the precision-guided bomb is as you're coming in, and if you don't have that target picked that much in advance, the bomb just won't drop. It's not ready in time. That's very important because part of what made PGM so good in the last beta, at least in my experience, was that you could predict moving targets with them so easily. And so it really just avoided the need to even use the laser or guided munitions. You just drop the bombs and they were like the hand of God for you as the player. You were just reaching down like Zeus from Olympus and you were just going, 2,000 pound bomb on that tank, die. That it's on the move, I don't care, I'll just predict it, you know, from half a second's prediction. And you just kill it all. And that was super powerful. And now, because there's such a long aim time, you can't really do that in the same way, which is a fantastic change. There's other stuff as well. They also fixed dumb bombing to not have a bug that was making it kind of bad at low altitude of afterburners on. It was making it inaccurate. Just a whole bunch of stuff. AA is more powerful now too. Sorry, I keep remembering everything. And as a result, you'll notice throughout these matches that airstriking is still powerful, but it's, especially the precision munitions, are less spammy than they were before. And dumb bombing couldn't be as precise anyway, because it also has a lead-up time. So basically, airstrikes are not as free and, dare I say, OP as before. I love air. I spammed like the shit out of bombing. So I can tell you it's very different now, because I love it. I'm not against jets. I love them. I love ace combat. But it's good. It's good for the game, because you see more conventional fighting between units now, rather than everything just being resolved by, oh, I bomb out with a JDAM. It's gone now, you know? Less cruise missile spam as well, I noticed too, which was nice. I'm bringing in some of the new Ghost Hawks here. These are the Silent Hawks. They're the stealth Black Hawk that killed Bin Laden, right? That did the Navy SEALs raid, and they're actually really good in this game. They're almost the same price as a normal Black Hawk. It's kind of the perk of playing the SOF deck. You can see them just dropping off those airborne troops there. They have a 2.5 stealth rating, I want to say, which is... I think... I feel like I'm wrong telling you that, but I'm almost certain. Yeah, they have like a 2.5 stealth rating, which is insane for a helicopter. They're a stealth chopper. And the drops you can get away with that, the enemy just doesn't see them in time. It's so cool. Unfortunately, I'm losing a Rangers RRC on the left there, but we'll ignore that. Focusing on the A fight here, I have my Rangers Recon on the point pushing in now, leading the way for this airborne attack. You can see that my weapons teams, my ATGM teams, in the defensive line I have behind this point, are ending up being really useful to take out that Barbarous, and just cover me from the armor in general here. I actually don't think I planned that. I think it just, you know, happened to be that way, that I had ATGMs watching the point, and the enemy whoopsie-doopsied into them as they were getting away from my airborne attack. Or were trying to stop my airborne attack. So in the end, this attack looks like kind of smart and put together, right? It's like, oh yeah, he's got like overwatching guided missiles, he's got his infantry going in under the cover of his long-range ATGMs. I'm pretty sure it was an accident, that it all just kind of happened automatically like that. Sorry, my chair is so squeaky, I'm gonna get some WD-40, I'm so sorry. You can see my teammates bringing in some helicopters there to help, and a little bit of striker support as well, thanks to them. I wish I could tell you exactly who it is there. Was that Revan? Yeah, that's Revan Shan with the striker, at least. I'm not playing right now. This is just a rewatching the video, so I can't like put my mouse over it and be like, who's that? But Revan helped me in that a lot later as well. They gave me a lot of support this match, I think. I didn't notice as much while I was playing because I get very tunnel visioned. I'm like, oh my god, what's going on? But... So with that, you can see we end up taking the A point in time for the end of the first phase. If you've never seen Broken Arrow before, basically there's 3 phases that divide the game up now in their new game mode they've made. And you can see there's like flags and skulls up there on the top. Now no one's going to get any points for the end of this phase, funnily enough. But basically you can see the +1s. If you meet like the thresholds to have done well enough in either taking zones from the enemy or killing more enemy units than they've killed of yours, you will earn that many points for those thresholds. So if we had 66% of the territory control, then we would have got a +1, let's say. Or if we had 1,000 more enemy, you know, destruction points than the enemy had destroying our units. So if we had 8,000, they had 7,000, we would get a +1 for that as well. We'd get a skull. And that's how the games are won. It's the whole way this is done. It is a fantastic game mode. I cannot give them enough credit for how cool it is. See me trying to chase off a piece of their artillery there. Bringing in a Nighthawk to try and cruise missile as well, but I don't think I hit it. I'll try not to blab too much about the game mode here unless there's nothing interesting going on the screen. I don't want to just like waffle around while I'm missing what's going on. But I don't think anything's going on here. So yeah, yeah, the cruise missiles get intercepted by enemy AA. It is such a good game mode because of the way it kind of encourages the game to be played in ways that it was already important. Where it's not just about controlling the King of the Hill zones, it's not just about controlling the cap points, but it's also about how well you cost-effectively trade units of the enemy, and it lets the matches be decided in these really interesting ways, where there's always room for a comeback. Hey, maybe you're really struggling to take a point from the enemy, maybe the enemy's dug in really hard, but you're doing better on destruction because the enemy's like just sacrificing tons and tons of expensive crap to keep you off the point. And it's like, okay, well... you know, we're going to win on destruction score this phase instead. And as you can see, it's +2 now on those points. So every phase, goodbye Comanche, every phase, the number of points you get for that goes up. So it'll be +2 in phase 2, +3 in phase 3. So as you get later in the game, it's like it matters more who's really winning by that point, which is also great so that just because you did bad in the first phase in the early game, it's not like, oh, we can't come back in the late game. But it does end up mattering, you know, like it all matters. And yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. Really well done to them. It's a fantastic game mode and I love it. Now, I did lose that Comanche to the enemies brought up a lot of SHORAD, short-range air defense, you can see there. You can also see that we're now getting involved with taking out some enemy recon on our right side that we happen to spot. I think that Special Tactics team, STT, those guys with the wings for their icon, they spotted that sniper unit over there because they're recon too. That is good to take out some of the enemy's eyes here. Unfortunately, I think I've already got struck by the artillery while I was talking before, and that would continue to happen here. You can see the enemy's artillery, and sure, it's just sitting there. And I really wish, in hindsight, I was moving up to take care of it better. I'm sure I must be trying to move some javelins something up here. But in the end, I also just fell back to my old standby, which is, let's bring in the bombers to bomb it. You can see there, ooh. Now, artillery is on like 1/3 health, and it is just taking out 2 units. I shouldn't have been sitting still there. And you can see, even though I've taken out one of the enemy's recon units, they surely have more watching me, hidden that I can't see. Or they just, I didn't move and they just remembered where I was. But either way, this was a problem that I really kept on doing for a while. It's a sign of bad play when I didn't have my own recon pushing up stealthily and effectively enough to find all of the enemy's recon. We're taking out their shore out of some tow there at least. So the enemy had better eyes on me here. And also, I wasn't using artillery, and that was a huge mistake I made. Lots and lots and lots. I love infantry, I love shiny toys. I've never been an artillery guy in these kinds of games. Never been a big fan of it. And that was something that I had to get into the mind space of using more. I didn't do it yet. I don't expect to see it in this match. But later on, I did start getting better about it. And it ended up being very important when I started using my howitzers more. Because howitzers are much better now too. Now that precision-guided bombs are much, I won't say worse, but are much less free and easy to just overpower the enemy with. Tube artillery is far more important, whereas before I feel it was very much overshadowed by all of the instant gratification options like precision bombing and cruise missiles and stuff. But that's not the case anymore. So tube artillery is king again, which is great, and so is rockets. And that's really what it should be, so... You see I bring another Comanche here, still trying to use all the shiny new units here. It's still my first match with SOF. We're doing a little bit of peekaboo. Whee! An Eagler trying to hit me from those skyscrapers on the right. Skyscrapers are great for these kinds of units, of course, because... it allows good line of sight, very high vantage points, so you're not blocked by line of sight when you're trying to hit things like that. But using the helicopters up and down, high out, low out mode, we're able to hide the Comanche behind the building there and not get hit. I like doing that kind of peekaboo stuff with helicopters. I'm not very good with it yet, but on the game's release, I want to try and get better with using helicopters. They're quite powerful, but they're also very easy to get killed. You can see me spreading out a bit to the left here. I'm kind of sitting still, so when I'm sitting still, I'm like, I should try and do something, right? And so in this case, what I was trying to do is extend out to the left and help my teammate. I think in the end, in hindsight, what I should have done instead is just had these guys wait in reserve. Well, never stinger on the left there, sees me right through the area. They've moved up to get me. Wait in reserve. And I think I ended up doing a little bit of overextension on the left instead. I think when I'm sitting still in this game, it's very easy for me to go like, oh, I'm not doing anything, I'm bad, I'm just sitting here doing nothing, I should do something. And sometimes that's true, but also in this game I've learned you have to be careful not to over-push yourself, not to make yourself too anxious and go like, oh, pressure, and then you just go and overextend for no reason. Because in the end, what really wins a lot of fights in this game is reserves. You will get your shit bombed, your frontline units will not only get, really hurt just fighting, but also they're the first units to get airstrikes, to get artilleried. It will happen, it's inevitable. And you don't deal with that by just waving a magic wand to not get artillery, to not get bombed, to not get damaged in your fight of the enemy. There's no way to really do that. Well, there is, but, typically you're not going to do that. What's important is to have a second line of units, I think, that can go in to cycle with the first line, while the first line falls back to resupply, or while the first line is dead and you bring in reinforcements to replace them. And in having two lines like that, you constantly cycle front to back to front to back to front. That's the way to do it, in my experience. You've always got one line who is replenishing or reinforcing while the other line is doing the fighting, and then vice versa once that first line runs out of steam and needs to become the back line resupplying. And you can see I've got units on the front line. I kind of have two lines here because I have the guys up front pushing up. Again, trying to be a bit more dynamic here. But I don't really have a lot of stuff behind me. You don't want to have too many reserves because you're going to be wasting money on, the more units you have on the field, the more you're paying in upkeep, the less income you're making. But there's a balance to be struck, and, you know, if you look at my score, I'm floating so much money. I have 1,600 monies in the top left there, supplies. So I really could have afforded to have more in reserve to hold really strong here. And that might have allowed me to crush my enemy harder on the right side, and then spend more of my focus going, hey, I'll provide some support to the other zones. I could have sent some infantry to B point of a big push. I could have air supported and artilleried. I didn't end up doing that. But that's alright. You can see I brought in some of my few vehicles I do have in this deck, these M8 Thunderbolt tanks, to fight the enemy's tanks and to just reinforce the point. I've got the Comanche popping up and down here, getting some strikes with Hellfires at long range. Oh man, this Comanche is on like 1/3 health, and I am... Oh! I think I'm being a bit too... a bit too aggro here. I'm marking these buildings so that I can call my own striking on them, basically. Gonna call in some cruise missiles from the Nighthawks. I've decided, you can see I'm gonna go for that Shorad instead. Ravan Shan is counting down to a big push, which we'll get to in a second. He's been advising me about it, but I think I was mainly tunnel visioned in on what I'm doing here on the point. These Thunderbolts are really good, by the way. They're a great unit. They don't get to be that great here, but they're just a great tank in general. Very cheap, very good light tank. Here comes a problem. Veterans are going to see this coming already. What's gone wrong? Oh dear. And this is a mistake that I know better than, too. You know, I should know better than to do that, which is where I just had too many units that I'd left on the point. You don't need recon to know that you can carpet bomb a point to get a lot of units, and I made a real noob mistake there of having so many units just tucked in on the A point. Typically when you're playing this game, and you can see they're pushing in on me now after that. Typically when you're playing this game, here's a great golden rule. Don't leave all your units on the point once you've taken it. In fact, if you leave any units at all, just leave one, but you don't even need to leave any on them. You know, push beyond the point and have security in front of it. Pull back behind the point of your other units, waiting in reserve to push back in once you're under threat. But when no one's actually fighting you there, don't leave your units on the point, because these point control markers on the map, these are just big magnets for enemy artillery and bombs and fire support that just say, bomb me, because the enemy probably got like 5 units here, and I did there, and that was my mistake. Now, you can see what's happening with Ravan here, is he's bringing in, they're bringing in the mother of all tank pushes on my right. Good for them. And it's probably the perfect time for this support, because I've just had most of my shit schwacked on the A point by that big bombing run from the enemy Tu-160, I think it was this one. So this is actually really great timing to stop the Reds then pushing in on the A point. I've brought in an A10 here to try and support them, but I'm kind of feeling it's not time yet. So I'm pulling them back around. They're flaring. They're taking a little bit of damage. Not much from a near miss there. A near miss explosion from a proxy fuse from the enemy fighter's missile there. We're just having the A10 kind of chill back here and wait for what I deem the right moment. There's a lot of enemy air defense, so it's probably still not going to go great for this A10, but, you know, the A10 is here. It has 6 Mavericks on the wings. It's not too expensive to lose. I'm under no belief that it will survive this run, but I know I have to support my teammate. My teammate is bleeding for me here. You can see them blunting the enemy attack that they were going to push in on A point. We send in the A10. God bless the A10. It does take out 2 units. No, it takes out 2 units. One may not have been so great a trade, but it takes out the enemy's artillery at the back there, which just happened to be one of the frontline targets, because the A10 didn't see these Barbaruses pushing in behind the buildings that are now on the point. Unfortunately, these Barbaruses help ruin my Apache I'd brought in there, along with some Igla enemy manpads still fired at me from nearby. And I've even got Iglas over from the F point on the left there, actually reaching out all the way over here to take up my helicopters that try to drop in some reinforcing infantry. So it's a real pig's breakfast of a reinforcement attempt here from me. Like, I'm losing guys all over the place still. I'm making a big mess of everything. And again, it really is like, shout out, you got Medicus's Marines there providing a little bit of help for me, and then you've got Ravan's tank push there on the right blunting the enemy. And if not for them, I surely would have been completely wiped off the map here. Just 100%. Ravan blunted so much for me here. God bless that armored push. That's one of the cool things about Broken Arrow, is you will see the cooperation between the doctrines a lot, where, you know, I'm playing lighter infantry here, and then Ravan's playing the tank deck, and it's great, you know, like, we get in, we hold the buildings, we're doing infantry things, and it's like, oh, hell yeah, like, here's the armor player, like, coming in. It reminds me of, like, my World in Conflict days, of everyone having those more clearly defined roles. You can make decks in this, of course, that are everything, and really the best kind of standard decks do have a bit of everything. But typically, the way you build your decks, you will have something you're best at, or that's how my decks end up being built. You know, maybe you're a better infantry, better armor, better whatever. Maybe you're better infantry and armor, but worse air. And it's always fun to see the organic cooperation between players, where you get kind of these kind of real-world situations of like, okay, the airborne infantry have dropped in to hold this point with fast rollouts of helicopters and air support, and then, okay, here comes the slower tanks to reinforce them and give them a hand and push through the breachhead they've made later on in the match. And I love seeing that stuff. I'm a big fucking nerd. So, one of the things I love about this game is that you... God, my fucking chair, I'm sorry. It plays very immersively. It's... These battles play out the most, like, immersively for, like, a modern combined arms war battle, to me at least, than any other RTS I've played by far. And one of the reasons I'm so gaga about Broken Arrow, and I love it so much, is it's really the game I've always been trying to play when I tried to play Wargame. And I played a lot of Wargame back in the day. It was an amazing game when it first came out. I was like, holy shit, this is so cool and different. But these days, you know, and in the end, it just wasn't... It's never quite right for me. It was like... I don't know, like, I wanted to love Wargame, I wanted to play a lot of it, but I ended up falling off it after Airland Battle, when Red Dragon came out. And Broken Arrow really captures everything I always wanted from a Wargame game. It's like my perfect RTS. I can't believe it exists. I'm so grateful for it. I love it. I love it so much. It's all my little military-loving nerd dreams come true in this game. I love it. Okay. So, the enemy's still gonna mess us up here. And they are gonna take the 8 point, I think, but it's all about timing. Because of the way the scoring works, it's all about when you hold everything, not that you hold it at all. Because scoring only happens at the end of phases, the enemy will only get an advantage out of holding the 8 point here if they've taken it before the end of this phase, so they can get scored for the end of phase 2. And you can see here, we're just barely hanging on. We've just got a few units hiding in the back here on, you know, a breath of hit points left. So the enemy won't be able to take the 8 point away from us here. Ooh, they have taken a point somewhere else, though. I think there's a bug here. I reviewed this quickly before, and I think there's a bug. I think they deserve more points. I'm not sure. Because you can see they've taken a point somewhere else on the map, so they'll get +2 for having more territory control, 60% to 40%. And they've also destroyed more units than we've destroyed of theirs, so they're going to get +2 for having over 1,000 more kill score than us. But then, strangely, they only get 2 points. I think they were meant to have 4 there, unless something got killed right at the last second there and it didn't update on the UI. Anyway. I'm sure it won't matter in the end, but they do score 2 points there. It's the first points of the match, which does put us on... If we want to win this match, we would have had to... We would have to... John Madden. Praying. I'm getting old. I'm not old, I'm 35, but I'm 35 this year, but I'm failing to talk as well as I used to, sorry. We would obviously have to score some points back. That's all he's saying. It ain't complex. Finally getting a bit more reinforcements here that aren't being blown up in failed helidrops. Bringing in some airborne to spread out into the right. They've got an enemy gunship that is taking out some of the transports there and doing a little bit of scratch damage to the infantry. We do finally find some enemy recon, though, which God knows how long that's been there calling in all the fire. You know, I needed to get out earlier. And my other units on the left, they're falling back to a supply drop I brought in, and they're going to be able to get back to full health, hopefully. I brought in some more reinforcements behind them. And because I don't have any effective anti-air in the area right now, I'm calling in some anti-air helicopters because their helicopters are giving me conniptions. So I bring in my pack of Kiowas. They're quite cheap, and they have a whole bunch of stingers on them. I've got them tooled up in the anti-air loadout. Another great thing about Broken Arrow is you get to tool up all the units pre-game with your decks with different weapons and loadout customizations. Really awesome part of the game. Makes the deck building so interesting. I love it. I sound like a fucking shill for this game, I'm sorry, but, you know, organically I kind of am. I fucking love this game, so I'll shout from the rooftops how awesome it is. So... Trying to do a little bit of Apache support with the longbow back here. Again, this is a different Apache to the one I brought in before. This one is in a configuration with a lot of rockets. It's not here to do hellfires at tanks. It's here to just kill enemy infantry and light vehicles. It gets warded off pretty quick, though, by AA. And they're pushing in... Oh, my damn chair, sorry. They're pushing in pretty good on me here. They've got some nice light vehicle support and some heavier vehicle support with those T-90s over on the right there. They're doing a nice combined arms push. They've even had the helicopter support softening me up before. And I just kind of have infantry here. I'm making the mistake that so many players do and will do forever, is over-focusing on infantry. Infantry are very strong in Broken Arrow, but it's not like, for instance, when I talked about World in Conflict before, it's not like that where you kind of just want to just play, oh, I'm just the infantry guy, I'm able to bring nothing from infantry. Even when you're infantry focused, you'll want some kind of vehicle support, unless you're in the forest, you can get away with it a bit easier, but I needed to have more combined arms here, and they're making me pay for it. However, we do get to use the Ranger's Roars here for the first time, really. Look at this thing go. This unit is so good. I hadn't even upgraded it to Ranger's Maws yet, I think. I think this is the less powerful version of them. And look at it go. This might be Ranger's Maws, actually. No, it's got the plus. I think that's the upgraded version. Just whacks those two T-90s. Because those guys have 3 bazookas. They have 3 Carl Gustavs in the squad of 6. You can see how fast they shoot, and they just shred those things. And again, as I was saying, I love infantry. I'm World in Conflict. I'm an infantry guy. So I love this unit, this Ranger's Roars unit, because it's like the old AT infantry from World in Conflict. You just, finally, we have a unit, you just roll up to the enemies in this game, you get them on the tank, and you go, die. You hide them in woods, you hide them in buildings, and you go, perish T-90, and I love that. That's exactly the kind of unit I want in my decks. Apart from that, you can see my allies been giving us a bit of artillery support. The enemies... attacks getting blunted a little bit here by that and by just general support from everyone. I'm calling in an F-35 airstrike here to try and provide some precision bombing on these 2 units of enemy sappers. Oglomemechi or whatever they're called. I don't speak Russian, I'm sorry. It's a cool language, I wish I did. And because I do still happen to have some guys in the backline here, my reserves as you would, my toes and stuff, I do have a bit of stuff left to hurt the enemy as they try to overextend here beyond the 8 point. F-35 gets 2 kills there, kills both those sapper units. I've called them these Kiowas, and they've just been sitting here, unfortunately. Kind of forgotten about them, but I am bringing them up here now to try and get that enemy. Is that an alligator? It's a KA something. It kills me, and I don't like it, is what matters. Going after my Hero Ranger's Roars unit, how dare you. So here comes the Kiowa pack to try and say no to that. We come in, we fire 4 stingers at once. One of them near misses. There's a second direct hit. I think it's going to get away because it's faster than the Kiowas, which is one issue. And unfortunately, you know, the enemies, unlike me, the enemies has a lot more stingers on the front line right now. So we can't, like, bring these helicopters in. I brought in an Apache again. I brought in the Comanche. It's not going to happen. But instead, I'm going to bring in F-35 again. Do some more precision bombing. And we're going to drop a bunch of strikes on these 3 buildings full of enemy infantry. I say full of, I mean, there's like 4 guys per building. It's pretty overkill from me, but hey, if you're not overkilling enemies of the US Air Force, what are you doing with it? That's what it's built for, isn't it? The funny thing is they still survive. But they're hurting, they're not happy. And it's convincing them to fall back more, you can see. Really, the artillery from my teammate is doing more there for that cause on that front. But together we are doing to the enemy basically what the enemy is doing to me right now and has been doing to me all game, which is once the enemy is in sight and just trying to hold a position inside of, you know, your recon or just your general units, that's when you want to bomb the shit out of them. There's no pretty way to put it. Bomb the shit out of the enemy when you can see them. This is why it was so bad that I wasn't using enough artillery in this match and, you know, in general wasn't using enough artillery till later on in these nights of matches. Artillery is so important. It's really fun and the default thinking, for me at least, to see enemy units and be like, let's fight them with our units, let's have a battle, let's duel. Modern Warfare, you should not be aiming to do that. You should be aiming to fight the enemy asymmetrically, with you having the greatest advantage and them having the least advantage, with you doing the most damage and them dealing the least to you. And of course, artillery is the best way to do that. Artillery is not a fair fight. Artillery is just, I'm going to kill you. You're not going to see it coming, but you're dead now. And so I was really shooting myself in the foot by not liking it enough at this point. Don't worry, I like it artillery now. It just took me a while to get used to it again. It's very important, though. If you get into this game, do not look down on artillery. It might seem boring at first if you're like me, to be like, oh, I shoot the big gun at them. You might not want to spend your mental focus to worry about it. Learn. It's just so good. Just even if you just bring in 3 cheap howitzers, even just some mortars, bring in some kind of artillery. You want to be able to see an enemy and go, I don't want to see them anymore. And you want to punish the enemy for sitting still in your view, in your gaze. You need to go, no, you will be punished for that. That is a sin. And you have to remember to keep moving and not sit still in the enemy's vision as well, because they'll do the same thing to you. Bringing in an F-22 Raptor here to try and take out this enemy helicopter. I'm not sure where mine went. Did I send them all back home because I was like the Iglas? The manpads are going to get me, I guess. So we're going to do a little bit of Mobius 1 here, a little bit of dodging enemy AA while we do a couple of runs to take out that enemy helicopter. This is what I used to do a lot with the F-15Cs in the last beta, like I was saying earlier. It's the quickest, the most reliable way to get rid of some helicopters. You might lose the jets for it if the enemy's got good AA, but if you do it in a pair especially, it's a great way to deal with a helicopter problem that needs to be sorted out now. We've got some supplies there. If the enemy artillery that would all go up like a dynamite stack. Luckily, that Barbarous over there cannot see my supplies. They're nestled behind the buildings well enough. We're getting some nice javelins off on that Barbarous too. Oh yeah, goodbye Barbarous. I hate those things, so I love when they die. And with my Javelin squad there, fighting Spetsnaz GRU, we're going to have these Delta Force guys tuck and roll out of the truck. They're getting hit by an enemy grenade launcher team, but they tuck and roll out, hip-firing their suppressed weapons to finish off that Spetsnaz GRU, which is the guy from Despicable Me, so I don't know why he's here. But then these Delta Force are going to go and get onto the point. Frankly, they are being misused here. I hadn't learned how to use Delta Force very well yet either. I was using them like Marine Raiders here, which is kind of what they do. But really, it's just not the greatest thing to just be sending them in alone here, tip of the spear. No one to soak damage for them. Enemy vehicles, which they cannot deal with, being there like, I want to kill Delta Force, and indeed they're dealing heavy damage. But one of the very cool things about Delta Force and Special Forces infantry in general, if you're Special Forces infantry now, and you have like your CQB loadouts especially, you get lower sprint speeds in this build. You can see the Deltas had their sprint back there to get away from the Barbarous, because theirs comes back in 30 seconds, unlike normal infantry, which have always come back in 60 seconds. It's an incredibly cool change for these infantry to make them like really special forces and elite door kickers and stuff. And it's super useful. I got to make a lot better use of it later on when I started getting playing better with the SOF deck, which wasn't for a while, I'm afraid. But eventually, it's like, damn, it makes such a massive difference. These guys also get more smokes. This is another change the SF CQB infantry get, as everything else gets artillery there. They get to bring 4 smoke grenades, which is really cool. Unfortunately, I end up just kind of like charging them over here on a bridge too far, and they're just done. They haven't got enough sprint to get into that building, and the smoke's on cooldown, and they just get mulched, which is RIP Delta. Don't worry, Delta. I'll use you better later, I promise. They do a little bit of, like, damage on those enemy infantry, though. Not a lot. Yeah, I'm going fucking World War I mode here. You can see I've got, like, a half-health airborne unit that's just chasing in after them. I'm just throwing these guys into their deaths, which... it's not what you want to do, but also a certain amount of aggression is important to not just sit there. Like, you do want to do something, but... Man, try to be better about it, because I was just wasting these poor guys here. These poor Airborne and SOF were just being mismanaged completely. And enemy artillery's hit me again. This soft-skinned truck is like almost just exploding on the way in of Airborne. What was your strategy to hold this point in the last 5 minutes, Beagle? Well, I got my most unarmored vehicles possible. All of my Jeeps, all of my trucks, which is what this deck was made of, and I just sent them straight in there, wave after wave. Wave after wave of my own men, Kith. Is how we handle this one. Luckily, I only have to hold for 3 minutes 40 longer, excuse my dog barking, to close this match out. Which is good, because I don't have a lot of, like, grunt left here. I don't have, like, a lot of armored stability to hold. But all you gotta do is just keep a unit on the zone until the end of the phase. Shut up, dog. I love you, Mary. Please stop barking. I felt bad about telling my dog to shut up on mic, I'm sorry. You just need to hold until the phase is over. they're pushing in with everything they've got too here. I mean, you can see they've got like Igla teams under fire here on the front line. They've got, you know, recon in view. Probably, I think they're actually engaging me sniping at this point. They're trying to take out my last guy in their airborne squad there who's on like 1 HP. I bring in the buggy to help them with the M240 on top. They're bringing in a BMP Terminator over there, a pair of them, which are just mulching my airborne in the forest. Oh, you know, it's horrible. It's all going wrong. I'm going to get this weapon squad back out of their buggy to try and shoot them. But I mean, you can see they're not pushing on really enough at this point. There's 2 minutes left. It takes like half a minute to cap the point anyway, so you can see we've got a pretty good amount of units left to hold here unless they suddenly show up with a ton of stuff. So this is really, you know, where we wrap up the match here. Again, you know, didn't play my best, but I'm not going to be too unkind to myself because I'm still getting used to things again. I had tons of money left at this point. Look at all that money in the top left, and you can see I was really floating points because I was just tunnel visioning everywhere else. But you know what? That's part of this game. A big part of this game is dealing with the mental pressure of it and being able to focus on what needs to be focused on and not get tunnel visioned on the wrong thing for too long and forget about everything else. That's not new to RTS games. You know, RTS games in general, that's an important skill. But it's different in a way here to like how it is in StarCraft, I think. Every game's unique. There's a lot of mental pressure in Broken Arrow you have to deal with. Not just like keeping track of all your different stuff going on, but also just mental pressure of like I was talking about before, being over anxious of, oh, I should push, I'm not being useful, oh, I'm not doing enough, oh, I'm bad, I'm not accomplishing enough, oh, I'm getting rolled on this lane, I'm letting my team down. At the end of the day, that might even be true. Sometimes it's less true. Often it's less true than you think it is, in hindsight once you review things. And you've just got to be kind to yourself in this game. It's a very, very fun game, but if you're getting into this game, especially at first, you'll probably end up feeling bad about yourself. You'll be like, I'm not doing well, I can't manage enough things at once. And it's very important to just be like, it's okay, you're going to get there. A really good tip for this game that I'll keep repeating when you're first getting into it is use less units. Use as many units as you can keep track of at a time. Even if you float a bunch of supplies at the top left, who cares? Just learn the game. Bring in a small number of more expensive units to make better use of your money, perhaps. But just, you know, just focus on doing what you can focus on at a time. You know, just focus on being the artillery and air support for your, and anti-air for your team at first. Just set up that. And you'll get there. It's quite an overwhelming game at first, but you will get there with this game. You can learn to play it. It's not as hard as it feels. And it's so worth it once you start getting into it. But that's going to wrap it up, really. That's Phase 3 ending there. This was my first match back, and I enjoyed it. I did not unlock the true power of the SOF decks until later on, but I was already starting to enjoy some of the units, like this Ranger's Roars. Like all the cheap helicopter transports and everything was really fun. And we did lose. Very few points scored during this match, you can see. Only in Phase 2 was there anything scored. But, you know, it was a good time, you know. Win or lose, what I usually care about is how well I feel I played. I didn't play amazing here, but I didn't play the worst ever. I was happy enough just getting back into things. And, you know, I had a good KD, and KD isn't everything. I also had a high kill score, and I had a lot of zone points, so, you know, I was doing something for my team. Really, as long as I'm helping my team out and being a useful team player, that's what matters to me the most, is I feel like I've done a good job. You can see also I actually was playing against a lot of different players' worth of units here. My allies supported me too throughout this. But it's something that I also forget in these matches when I'm getting, like, overwhelmed and bodied, and I'm like, oh my god, like, this guy's got so much stuff, and I forget to actually look at the units and be like, oh, you know, there's actually 3 players bringing stuff into me, against me here, intermittently here, right? Mary, I'm trying to wrap up my very professional video, please. The children are talking nearby, and she hates that, so... yeah, like, it's just another way you've got to be kind of kind to yourself and be like, okay, you know what, like, let's actually check the units, let's have the mindfulness to be like, I'm fighting more than one player here, so actually, just holding on and neutraling, or even just, you know, losing the lane, but distracting all those players means the rest of my team should have an easier time being focused on less by their team somewhere else, because those players are busy with me. So there's lots of ways to be useful in this game, and, you know, we'll get into that more as we keep going. In the end, I think I spent a lot of this match talking about the general mindsets, and, you know, the game in general, which I guess is fitting if this is the first match you watch of this with Broken Arrow of mine. I've done one before, but I haven't done much content yet. But I think in future ones we'll get to talk more about what's going on when there's more dynamic stuff going on. I don't think we ignored really what was going on in the match too much. It's more just that I was being kind of static. That does happen in this game as well. You will have, longer travel times. You will have periods of downtime. Usually that's where I should be using my artillery and airstrikes and doing something else in between. I wasn't doing it yet though, so we had a lot of time to talk about other stuff in between while I was kind of like holding my line and there was time in between attacks. Still, I hope you enjoyed it. I played how many? 14, 15, 16? I played 2.5 dozen matches, I think, in all. I've got near 20 of them to go through. If you liked watching this, let me know. I'm gonna try to keep doing all of them because we've got 2 months till the game comes out. I cannot wait. I want to just play nothing but this game when it comes out. And I also want to make a bunch of videos around then that help new players get into the game because I think this game is so cool, but I think it can feel a bit overwhelming to new players. It can feel overwhelming to me at times. And there are easy ways that you can get around that very quickly and start feeling better with this game fast. And I want to make sure that people have those tools, have those options, because I don't want anyone to bounce off this game. This game can be a lot of fun, and I also want to see it succeed. So I want to help as many people as possible get into this game, and if they're struggling with this game, I want to help as many people as possible be good at it as well, or competent. I wouldn't say I'm great at this game, but I have enough. I'm good enough to have fun, especially once I got better at it again. And if that sounds like you when this game comes out, if you're like, oh, I want to be good at this game, I want to like this game, but man, is it hard, man, I just can't do it. Don't worry, you can. Mary is barking again. Don't worry, you can be good at it. I've been in your position and I'm the proof. I am not a pro gamer. I am not 18 years old with 800 APM. You can be good again because I can be good at it. And if I can be good at this game, you can be good at it too. So we'll get there together. Anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling forever. I'm just going to try to do these commentaries of the matches as one take that isn't perfect, but I just get it done. Because otherwise, I'm a perfectionist. I take too long to make video content. I never get it out. Which, this YouTube channel, I fail to get content out because I try to make the perfect video and it never releases. So this is just what it is. I hope it was entertaining enough. And I'll try to do more of them. Like I said, check the description for links to the other things that go along with this. There is that shorter summary, and those are where I'm being more of a perfectionist, where I'm being like, here's that whole match we just watched in 4 minutes with I write a script for it so we can get through it, without wasting your time. And then also, if you just wanted to watch this without me talking, again, check the description. My moderator on my Twitch streaming channel, Jeff the Hobo, he actually manages the Beaglerush VODs channel, if you guys haven't heard of it. You can go there. He uploads everything I do on stream. He uploads over there on YouTube on that channel for easier watching. So those of you who are watching this and you're XCOM fans, by the way, it's over there. It's all over there. Go check it out. I'll link it again. Check the description for that. And I want to stop saying random stuff that you probably don't care about anymore. So hope you had fun with this, and hopefully I'll see you again for more of this soon, if it wasn't terrible. Thank you very much for watching, and man, I can't wait for this game to come out. That's it. I'll use a less squeaky chair next time, and I'll feed my dog some treats to keep her quiet, and I'll see you again for the next one. Have a wonderful one, everyone. I can't talk. Have a wonderful one. I'll catch you for the next one. Goodbye. See ya.